Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me for this hip opening flow. You are going to need your mat, and if you usually practice with blocks then I would just grab yourself a couple. But other than that, all you'll need is yourself, so go ahead and make yourself comfy. We are going to start seated today, so find yourself a comfortable seated position. Go ahead and close down the eyes if it feels okay to. We're just going to start by arriving at our mats and settling in for today's practice. Just starting by taking a gentle scan of your body and just noticing how you feel today. No judgment. Just noticing, just observing. Perhaps where we can feel that our body feels nice and light and free today. And then maybe where we feel a little bit tighter, a little bit more tense. Just spend a couple of moments seeing if we can add a little bit of softness to those areas, maybe through the shoulders, maybe through the hips. And just taking a gentle scan of the emotional body. Once again, just checking in with how you're feeling today. Maybe you're practicing in the morning. So this is one of the first things in your day. Maybe you're practicing in the evening. And this is one of the last things of your day. Just trying to let go of whatever has been. Just get nice and present in this moment, in the here and now. Now just bringing some attention to our breath, starting with 3 nice big cleansing breaths, breathing in through the nose and exhaling out through the mouth. 2 more like that, nice full inhale through the nose and exhaling it out through the mouth. 1 last time, inhale through the nose. Exhale, let it all out. Beautiful. Now just coming back to that regular breath. And just spending a few moments consciously deepening, lengthening that breath. And just bringing that sense of calm, welcoming that sense of peace, and settling to the body and to the mind. And just spending a few more moments here. Once again, softening through those shoulders, softening through the face. Couple more breaths. And as I said at the beginning of the class today, we've got a nice hip opening practice. So we're going to be playing with that opening of the hips, the stability needed in the hips for some of the postures that we're going to be practicing. And also just fluidity from movement to movement. And I just really encourage you to stay nice and connected to the body. Checking in with those sensations, what feels good, what we maybe need a little bit of work on, what maybe needs again a little bit of softness, a little bit more attention. And also bringing that attention to where feels good in the body, where we feel strong in our practice. Just taking 2 more breaths. And on that next exhale, we're just going to drop the chin down towards the chest. Just welcoming a nice stretch through the back of the neck, maybe through the tops of the shoulders. And then just starting to bring that left ear over to that left shoulder. And semicircle to bring that right ear over to that right shoulder. Now we could stay here with the semicircle, or if it feels okay to, we could start to encourage full circles. But once again, really staying connected to that intuition, to that sense of what feels good, maybe what doesn't feel as good. And allowing that to lead your practice. If we've taken full circles, just coming over to that opposite direction. So again, noticing where we maybe start to feel a little bit of sticking through this movement, where we maybe need to slow down, offer a little bit more attention. And just taking 1 more circle. And when you're ready, bringing that chin back down towards the chest, holding there just for a breath. And lifting the head up, fluttering the eyes open. Beautiful. Now we're going to bring our hands down onto our knees, and we're just going to gently start to circle through those hips. So maybe you want eyes open, maybe you want to close the eyes again, so that we take any pressure out of how we think this movement should look. Once again, checking in with the body, how does it feel? Can we make the circle any bigger? Where do we start to feel, again, maybe just a little bit of resistance in the hips? Where do we need to spend a little bit more time? And changing direction. Trying not to rush through the movement. Taking a couple more. And slowly making your way back to center. Now we're going to release that right leg forwards. We're going to keep it bent. And we're just going to bring the hands just in front of us, coming up onto those fingertips. We're just going to start to sway from side to side. Now this movement, you should really feel it in both of those hip joints. So it's just a gentle movement. Just once again checking in with those hips. Couple more side to side. If it feels too much, you can start to tuck that leg in a little bit closer. If we can't feel it, then we can move that leg a little bit further away. Beautiful. Bringing that right leg back in. We're going to uncross that left leg, bring that out in front. Bring those hands down and just start that sway. Again, not getting fixated on what this movement looks like. It should purely be how it's feeling in the body. Where we can feel those hips start to light up. A couple more. Now we're going to come back to center. We're going to straighten that left leg out so that that right foot is just gently touching the inside of that left thigh. Now we're going to push the heel into the floor here so that that just gently brings a lift into the leg. Lift those arms up so that we're finding length through the body. Then we're going to fold it down. Now the reason we're pushing our heel down here is just to keep this a little bit more passive for this early stage of the flow. Just allowing that hamstring to wake up nice and gently. Hanging out here for a couple of breaths. Maybe we can walk those fingertips forward a little. Maybe we want to stay higher up. One more nice full breath. And walking those hands back up, coming over to that opposite side. Right leg comes out, left leg comes in. Push that heel down into the floor to give that slight lift to the leg. Find the length, then we fold it down. Once again, just exploring here. Maybe it feels good to stay nice and upright, keeping that chest lifted. Maybe we can start to walk those hands towards the foot, hanging out for a couple of breaths. Feeling that breath in the back body, really filling that rib cage. And slowly walking it back. Beautiful. We're going to come over onto our hands and knees now. And we're going to spread those fingertips, spread those fingers, out wide. Making sure the hands are nice and active on the mat. We're going to start to soften through the belly as we lift the head, coming into cat-cow. Exhaling to find that tuck of the chin in towards the chest, push down into the mat and round. Now we could stay here if this feels okay. We could come up onto fingertips. When we come up onto fingertips, it just really extends that range of movement so we can find more of a tuck, more of a round. And we can make that dip a little bit deeper. So just exploring again, try both, figure out what feels best for you. To sync that breath to movement here. Couple more. Last full one. Beautiful. If we've come up onto fingertips, coming back onto the hands, raising that right arm up, look up towards the fingertips, and then we're going to bring it back underneath, threading it through, coming into that thread the needle. Option to keep that left hand where it is, option to extend, or we could take a bind around the back. So we're reaching for that inner right thigh. Now we might not be there quite yet, so that's totally okay to just keep the hand on the back through the bind. The bind's just going to help us to open up more through the chest. Feeling that stretch for the shoulder. One more breath. Gorgeous. If we've taken the bind, release. Bring that hand back underneath the shoulder. Push up and out your stretch. Look up towards those fingertips. Bring that right hand down. Lift the left arm. Thread it through and under. Beautiful. Thinking about those options, either extending that right arm or we're bringing the bind around the back, reaching for that left leg. Taking a couple of breaths. If we can reach that left leg, we can almost use it as a lever to push against. And just open out through that chest. One more breath. And releasing if we're in the bind, bringing that hand down, pushing up and out the stretch, look up towards those left fingertips. Gorgeous, bringing those hands down. Now we're going to tuck the back toes. We're going to lift into that first down dog of your practice. Now find a little bit of movement here. Most people's go-to is this nice movement of bending one knee and bending the opposite knee. Maybe you want to add in coming onto the outside edge of that left foot, taking a little bend through the knees, And twisting, coming over to that right side. Bend through the knees. Again, experimenting with what movement feels best for you. Maybe you stick with that pedaling motion. Beautiful. One more breath wherever you are. Finding stillness, bringing those feet hip width apart. Hands are nice and spread out. And slowly start to walk the hands back towards the feet. Coming into a nice ragdoll option to bend those knees, take hold of the elbows, or you can straighten those legs if you're looking for a little bit more for the hamstrings. Allow that body to fall in towards the legs. Head should be nice and loose. Taking that tension out and away from the neck. And releasing the hands. Keep that chin tucked in towards the chest as we roll all the way up. Lift those arms and bring them down through center. Gorgeous. We're going to walk towards the front of the mat now, coming into our first little flow. So bringing those big toes together, those shoulders are down away from the ears. Close down the eyes, maybe just take a couple of sways forward and back here. Just starting to get nice and familiar with that center as we start to ground down through the feet. One more breath. Now we're going to lift those arms up high and fold it forward. We're going to look forwards and we're going to step it back to our plank. Now, options here, we can either bring those knees down for a little bit of extra support, or we're coming all the way down to the mat, nice and strong in those arms. Lifting either to Sphinx Cobra or Up Dog. Exhaling, pushing it back to Down Dog. Hold there for a couple of breaths. Thinking about softening through that space between the shoulders, nice and active through those hands. And we're going to bring the knees down, coming into once again a tabletop position. Now we're going to raise that right leg, bring it out behind us. Just check in with the core, make sure we're nice and engaged so we're supporting ourselves through the back. And when you're ready, you're going to start to bring that leg out towards the right. Try and keep it nice and slow and controlled until that leg is in line with the hip. Hold for a breath. Embrace those wobbles. And then we're going to step that foot outside the right hand, trying to do it nice and gently, coming straight into that lizard pose. Good. Hanging out there for a couple of breaths, just allowing the body to get familiar with the position. And then we're going to start to shift that weight back into a half split pose, but don't put too much pressure to get that leg straight. If we need a little bit of a bend, that's absolutely okay. We could use blocks here if we would normally in our practice. So we could have the blocks underneath the hands to just bring the floor that little bit closer. We're just going to do this a few times, just this shift backwards and forwards through the body. And again, we're looking for the fluidity from posture to posture here. We're looking for how easy we can make it for those hips to shift forward and to shift back. We're going to do it one more time, shift forward. And one more time, shift back. Just hold for a breath in that half split variation. and bringing that front foot down. Now we're going to heel toe that front to the center of the mat, and we're going to lift into our crescent lunge. Woo. Now this is where I want you to think about that stability through the hips. So I want you to think about pulling in towards the midline to really create that stability in this position. Holding for a breath. Now we're going to start to shift it back, not all the way straight, and shifting it forward. Don't worry about that knee coming over that ankle. That's what we want here. So maybe even bring that foot back a little bit. We're trying to just find a little bit of a stretch for that ankle. Beautiful. One more time. Shift it back and shift it forwards. Good. Bring those hands down to frame that front foot. You're going to lift the back foot and you're going to bring it out to the right side. Straighten this right leg so that we're coming up into that gate pose. Beautiful. Now we're going to wrap the right arm around. Again, don't worry if we can't reach all the way around. It might just be here settling in the middle of the back. We're going to bring that left arm up and we're going to go towards that straight leg. Holding just for a breath here. Now I want you to think about this waterfall-like motion as we start to shift that way over to the right. Allow our body to come forwards, coming all the way over to the left. Bringing that left hand down, release the right arm, bring the right arm up. Good. Once again, maybe we want to bring a block here underneath this left hand if we need a bit of extra support. If not, we're going to start to bring that right leg up. Again, in line with that hip. Good. Start to tap it down. Use your breath. We're engaging through our glute here. Beautiful. We're going to aim for 6 lifts. Keep it going. If it starts to feel a bit much with that arm lifted, we could bring the arm down onto the hip. Beautiful. Now I've lost count. I think I'm on 5. When we get to 6, you're going to hold that leg up and you're going to take a little pulse for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. You made it. Bring that right foot down and make your way over to frame that front foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the knee and step it straight back to your down dog. Beautiful. Have a little wiggle. Finding your breath. And we're going to come back down onto the knees. We're going to lift that left leg this time. Bringing it out behind. Once again, just engage that core, check in with those tummy muscles. And when you're ready, we're going to slowly start to bring that leg out in line with the hip. Embrace those wobbles. And bring it all the way down to the outside edge of that left hand this time. Beautiful. Hanging out here in that lizard pose. Taking a couple of breaths. And start to shift that weight back. If you can straighten the leg, then maybe we're lifting the toes coming up onto that front heel. Beautiful. Bringing it back to that lizard. Once again, slowing this down. Don't feel the pressure to rush from pose to pose. You really want to check in with the body and feel where we need that just a little bit of extra time, that little bit of extra nourishing through the hips. Taking a couple more. Checking in with your breath. Explore. When does it feel best to exhale? When does it feel best to inhale? Beautiful. And once you're in that half split variation, hang out there for a breath, keeping that chest lifted. and bring it back and start to heel toe that front foot. Back to center as we lift into that crescent lunge pose. Once again, how can you feel that sense of pulling in towards the midline? Trying to really create that stability here, create that balance. We're going to start to shift up and we're going to start to shift it forward again. Don't be worried about that knee traveling over that ankle. If it starts to feel a bit much on that knee, we could tuck those back toes for that little bit extra support. Taking a couple more. One more. Beautiful. Now bringing those hands down to frame the foot, we're going to lift that back heel and we're going to bring it out towards the left. And I'm going to be facing away from you. You're going to get a lovely view of my back. Coming up into that gate pose. Now this time we're going to shift that left hand behind, wrap it around the back, bring that right arm down towards that straight leg. Beautiful. Now once again, feeling that sense of a waterfall as you start to fall towards the left, coming round until that right hand is down. Again, option to use a block, lift that left arm. Now let's start to lift that left leg, coming into that glute engagement. Remember, option to bring the hand down to the hip if that feels better. Tapping down, flexing that foot as we lift. Taking a few more, we're aiming for 6. Don't hold your breath. I know it's tempting here. It can feel a little bit tough. Once you've got those 6, we're going to lift and we're going to pulse for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Left foot comes down. Here I come, back to facing the right way. Frame that front foot, tuck those back toes, step it back to your down dog. Beautiful. Hang out here for a couple of breaths. And finding some stillness. Now we're going to look to the front of the mat. We're going to bend the knees and we're going to step to the top of the mat, or as close as we can get. Looking forwards, find that length through the back. Exhale, fold it down. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Good. Now we're going to ground down through that left foot and we're going to lift that right knee up. Now, option to hold onto the shin here if we need that little bit of extra stability. Option to keep the hands at heart center. Now, when you're ready, we're going to start to step that right foot back. Try and keep it nice and slow and controlled. Coming onto the ball of that back foot and lift those arms. We're in our high lunge. I want you to feel this sense of pushing down into the ball of the foot to really engage through the glute so that you can find some stability. Good. Hanging out here for a breath. Ground down through that front left foot. Now you're going to start to tip that weight forwards till you're about halfway, trying to keep those arms in line with the ears and lift. 2 more times. Bring that weight into that front foot. Nice and stable through those hips and lift. 1 more time. Shift that weight forward, hold. And now you're going to bring the hands down inside that left foot. Again, heel toeing that left foot out. This time we're keeping the knee lifted here in our lizard. Now, Maybe we want to stay here. If we want that little bit of an extra challenge, we're going to bring this left arm underneath, so it's on the outside edge of that left foot, coming up onto the fingertips if we can. This might feel enough. If we want a little bit more, we're going to lift that left hand. We're going to lift the right hand, coming into that flying lizard, holding here for a couple of breaths. You got it. This is a tough one, keeping nice and engaged, keeping those glutes engaged, core engaged. One more breath. And bringing those hands down. Good. Now we're going to shift those hands to the long edge of the mat so that we come into a wide leg forward fold. And you're just folding down, lifting halfway. 2 more times, folding it down, lifting. 1 more time. Now you're going to start to shift that weight into that right foot until we get a bend through the knee. I want you to think about taking a semicircle, so you're shifting that weight back until we can shift that weight into the left foot. Bend through the knee a couple more times. So thinking about that semicircle motion. Good. Now the next time we're over onto that right side, point those right toes to that corner edge of your mat. Bend through the knee. Now we're going to come down into our Skandasana. I'm going to go ahead and turn around so that you can see what I'm doing. So we're bending into that right foot. Now maybe we're here in our Skandasana. Maybe we're staying nice and lifted, but I still want you to think about that sensation of dropping the glutes back, the hips back. Okay? Maybe we can come all the way down and bring those hands into prayer. Beautiful. Taking a couple of breaths. 1 more, you got it, wherever you are. And coming back up onto those hands. And we're going to shift straight over to that left side. So again, if we're here and we're up a little bit higher, try not to have that weight shifted forward. Try to start to shift that weight back, feeling that sense of coming into the posture. If we can, we're coming all the way down. Maybe again, we're using hands to support us. Maybe we can bring those hands to prayer. Beautiful. 1 more breath. And lifting all the way back up, coming over to frame that front foot, stepping it back to down dog, hanging out there for a couple of breaths, taking any movements that you feel good. Maybe you want to stay in stillness. Looking forwards, bending those knees, taking a step to the top of the mat. Finding that length through the back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hands to heart center. Beautiful. Coming over to that opposite side now. We're going to ground down through that right foot. Lifting that left foot high. That left knee high rather. Option once again to take hold of that left knee for that little bit of extra stability. And when you're ready, we're going to release. We're going to start to step that left foot back. Coming onto the ball of that back foot. Good. Finding that high lunge. Once again, activating through that glute. Again, almost feeling like that right heel is pulling in towards the center of the mat to try and find that stability once again. Good. When you're ready, we're going to start that notion of shifting forwards, holding there, release back to center. 2 more times. Shift it forwards. Bring it back up to center. Shift it forwards. From here, you're going to bring those hands down inside that right foot. I have to just allow that left foot to shift back a little to give you a little bit more space. Now, option, we're staying here. Option, we're tucking that right arm underneath, coming up onto the fingertips. We're still on the ball of that back foot. When you're ready, we're going to lift both arms off, coming into that flying lizard. Again, this is a tough one. If we're here, we're holding for 2 more breaths. You got it. Grounding down through that front foot. 1 more breath. And bring those hands down really nice. Walking over to that forward fold. Good. Folding it down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold it down. Inhale, lift. 1 more time. Exhale, fold it down. Inhale, lift. Starting to find those semicircle movements once more where we're shifting the weight into one side, then we're bringing it over to that opposite side. Beautiful. Just a couple of those before we find that Skandasana pose. Coming over to that left side first, so turning those toes to face that corner edge as you start to sit that weight back wherever you are, whether we need the hands for support, whether we're coming into that full posture. If we're in that full posture, trying to bring those right toes to face up towards the sky. 1 more breath. And releasing down, coming over to that right side. Face those toes to that corner edge. Find your posture. And hanging out for a couple of breaths. And we're going to face that front foot as we turn on those back toes. We're going to come back to our down dog. And from our down dog, we're going to lift that right leg high. We're going to bring that right knee behind that right wrist, coming into our pigeon pose. Stretching out that left leg. Finding that pigeon pose, remembering if we heel toe that foot out more into that right angle kind of shape, it's going to be a little bit harder on the hips. If we want it to feel a little bit more gentle, then we tuck that foot in closer to the midline. When you found your position, you're going to fold it down. Option, just to fold down, bring hands to forehead. Option, bring that right arm underneath the left arm, coming into that thread the needle position. In the arms, pigeon in the legs. What should we call this? Maybe thread the pigeon? That sounds a bit mean actually. No, maybe we shouldn't. Hanging out here for a few breaths. If at any point the arms get too much, then just come back to that central position. And really using this opportunity to deepen the breath. If it starts to feel pressurizing on that back knee, once again, we can always tuck those back toes. One more nice deep breath. And And shifting out of those thread the needle arms, coming back to center, tucking that back toe to lift the knee and make your way out of that pigeon pose. Maybe just taking a quick child's pose, sink those glutes back, tuck the toes. And lifting up to center, coming back to your down dog. Lift that left leg high this time. And finding that pigeon on that left side. Beautiful. If we're coming into the thread the needle arms, we're going to bring that left arm under and that right arm out in front. But again, only an option. Check in with what you need for this practice. Try, if we can, to soften through the hips. Finding a breath that feels good for your body. Try and release tension if we've started to grip through the legs, through the face. One more breath. And when you're ready, unthreading yourself out of your posture. This time we're going to shift the weight over to that left hip and we're going to swing that right leg forwards. Coming into that Janu A once again, but this time we're going to make it a little bit more active because we've warmed up through those hamstrings. So nice straight right leg if we can, lifting. And then we're going to fold it forward, seeing if we can find a little bit more depth than we did at the beginning of the practice. That might still mean that we're up on our fingertips, and that's absolutely okay. But just seeing if we can find a little bit more of that fold, that sense of that chest coming towards the leg. Couple more breaths. And coming all the way back up to center, changing sides. So we're going to bring that left leg long, that right foot comes in. Find your length, reaching up. And exhaling, fold it forwards. Once again, maintaining that connection to body here. Can we look for a little bit more depth? Maybe it doesn't feel good. Always checking in. Few more breaths. And gently returning back to center. Now we're going to make our way down to our backs. Keep a bend in the knees to begin with, soles of the feet connected to the mat. I'm just going to bring our arms out to shoulder height and we're just going to start to shift those knees over to the right. And then bringing them back through center, coming over to that left side. And just taking that movement a couple of times. Should feel like a really gorgeous release through that lower back. And the next time that your knees are over to that right side, you're just going to hang out there for a good few breaths. Always my favorite way to end a practice is with a nice restorative twist. If it feels good for you to straighten that top leg, then you could go ahead and do that. And you should still have access to that nice deep breath. Checking in with tension through the legs. Have we started to grip? Do we need to release? I could fall asleep here in this beautiful sunshine. Hanging out for a few more breaths. And if we've straightened that leg, coming back to stack those knees as we shift over to that left side. Once again, taking your twist, the one that feels best, the most restorative for your body. Finding that sense of relaxation. Taking any tension away from the face, from the shoulders. Couple more breaths. And slowly making your way back to center, coming into your Shavasana. Maybe having any fidgets that you feel you might need before you come to that stillness. And when you're ready, allowing those feet to fall out to the sides, palms to face the ceiling, the sky. And settling into that stillness. Feeling that breath, that heart beating. Allowing the tension to come away from the face, behind the eyes, soften into the jaw. Shoulders, the arms, all the way down to the hands, the fingers. Releasing through the chest, the belly, the hips, the pelvis. Traveling down the legs, all the way down to the feet and toes. Feel free to spend as long as you would like in your Shavasana, but if you're coming with me, we're going to start to welcome some awareness back into our bodies. Maybe with a wiggle through the fingers, through the toes, maybe a little roll of the wrists. And when you're ready, bringing those knees in towards the chest, taking a gentle rock from side to side. Rocking over onto one side of the body, using your hands as a pillow. Taking just a couple more moments of stillness. And when you're ready, slowly making your way up to seated. Keeping the eyes closed if that feels good. Bringing the hands to heart center. Taking a beautiful deep bow. Thanking your body, your mind for everything they do for you day in and day out. And thank you very much for practicing with me today. I hope that you enjoyed this class, and I really hope to see a lot of you really soon.